On Tuesday, John Ralph released a couple of reports about players that are being looked at by other clubs, Sam Edmund as well. So I thought, let's put it all into one video and have a chat about it. So originally I wasn't going to do a video about this just because I wanted to, see where it sort of went in regards to were other newspapers or journos going to talk about this. But I thought it'd be good to talk about and just talk about footy media in general and, leading up to the off season and trades and contracts because we've got at the moment 15 players or maybe a little bit less than 15 players uncontracted going into 2026. So it's going to be so bloody busy, and there's going to be a lot of noise between now and touch wood, we make a grand final. So there's going to be a lot of noise. But let's get into it. So the first one I want to start with is Sam Edmund's news about Jamie Elliott. Now, he reported that Jamie Elliott is looking likely, or, well, maybe not looking likely, but he's looking at moving to Queensland. Gold Coast have asked the question. And this one out of all of the things that happened on Tuesday night, this one was the one that didn't strike me as too weird. We know a few years ago, Jamie Elliott toured Brisbane's facilities, and then he signed a 3-year deal with Collingwood, or 3-year extension with Collingwood. And then for Sam Edmund to come out, and not to say that Jamie Elliott was unhappy or anything like that, because he does have a 2-year contract in front of him from the Pies. And earlier on in the season, he did say this.
Couple more years left in you? I think so. I think I do. We'll see. I'm just trying to take it week by week at the moment. I don't want to look too far ahead, but I feel like I'm still dynamic and I feel dangerous and team's going well. So, yeah, I think I can keep going.
So I don't know. To me, it seems there's a couple of things, right? It seems like he's happy at the Pies and wants to sign on, but he's also maybe thinking about ending his career back in his, where some of his family are up in Queensland. And what's really interesting about this one is that it was reported a couple of months ago on Gettable, where the guys over there said this.
Yeah, nearly landed at Brisbane in 2019. We all remember the shots of him doing a tour of the Gabba. I'm keeping a very close eye on Brisbane reigniting its interest in Elliot. So he spent time living in Queensland as a kid before his AFL career kicked off. May harbour some ambitions to, head their post-career as well and spend some time up there. So,
and I did make a video about that, which you can check up here or up here. So will Jamie Elliott be leaving is the big question. I hope he doesn't. I love Jamie. Like, we all love Jamie. What is he, 32, 33? 2-year contract probably takes him to 35. I don't know if Brisbane or Gold Coast will offer him more than a 2-year deal. I think it'll be a little bit more money because, remember, he is an unrestricted free agent. So if they offer him 2 years at whatever it is, 800,000, let's say, for example, Collingwood can't say, oh, we'll match it and go 850 over 3 years. He can just leave. Right, that's the unrestricted free agent. And that's what we're doing with Jack Silvani as well, right? So, do I think Jamie Elliott leaves? I'm going to put it on the record now and say I do think he does, and I just got chills saying that. I don't know why, but my stomach is just telling me that he will, and I hope he doesn't. Obviously, I hope he doesn't, but my stomach, something in my gut is telling me that he might finish up his career in Queensland. The hotter weather, like Sam Edmund talks about, Jamie Elliott is thinking that the hotter weather might help his body and prolong it a little bit longer. But he's been at the Pies since, 2012. He's been through hell and back with us. I don't even want to say maybe a fresh change of scenery will help him because we are the fresh change of scenery, and I can't see a Collingwood team without Jamie Elliott in it. Much like a team without Pendles or Sidey or something. Elliott just is that guy, and for him to if consider leaving, you got to do up all your options, right? You have to look after yourself in your future. But I do hope Collingwood throw a lot more at him, maybe 3 years, maybe 2 years on $150,000 more a year. Because we know that the cap's increasing, the CBA is increasing as well. But I would leave no stone unturned to keep Jamie at the club. But my gut is telling me that he will be going to probably Brisbane. Now, John Ralph. Now, John Ralph is a little bit of a weird one with everything that was being said. So early on in the week, he said that Jeremy Howe was upset at Collingwood and there was no contract offer in front of him. Tom Morris comes out and says that Jeremy Howe, Scott Pendlebury, Steele Cyborn have all agreed to terms for next year. So that's one thing. The second thing is he says something about Bobby Hill that I'll put up right here, that Carlton should be looking at him, and Gold Coast have asked the question about Bobby Hill. I think if Bobby Hill was to leave, I know he's just signed that extension, but if he was to leave, it would be back home to Western Australia as opposed to moving. He doesn't need a change of scenery, right? He either goes back home to Western Australia or he stays at the Pies. I don't know why he would stay in Victoria and move to Carlton or move to Gold Coast. I can understand moving to West Coast or Fremantle. I absolutely get that. But I don't think Bobby Hill leaves at all. If he does leave, it would be a trade. It's not free agency, and they would need to cough up a lot. Gold Coast don't have that much to offer at the moment because they've got a lot of Suns Academy players that they'll need to do bids for and stuff like that. So they would need to offer up a lot, maybe a player. And same with Carlton. They've got father sons to deal with as well. They'll need picks as well. And I just can't see him moving across town and still staying in Victoria. It just doesn't make sense to me. But the biggest one for me that John Ralph talked about was Bo McCreary. Now, Bo McCreary contracted until 2027. In 2023, he signed a 4-year contract extension. Um, and he's saying, well, John Ralph is saying that Bo McCreary might be having his head turned by Gold Coast. And in that article that you'll see popping up, John Ralph keeps talking about how they need to replace Isaac Rankin. Isaac Rankin left a couple of years ago, maybe even a few years ago now, to go to Adelaide. And yes, okay, Gold Coast might be looking for a small forward. That's fine. I understand that. But why now? Like, why are they sort of putting those feelers out? And then for John Ralph to say that Bo McCreary is cranky because of, this Jack Silvani thing, they're two different entities. On one hand, we're looking at Jack Silvani, who, from all reports, 600,000 on 4 years, right? Which is peanuts in this day and age. He's going to improve the team. We need defenders, clearly. Look how crap we've been without Billy Frampton and Jeremy Howe out back. Jeremy Howe is 35, so we need to replace Jeremy Howe eventually, right? So on one hand, we're looking at getting the squad stronger. On the other hand, Bo McCreary is contracted till 2027. Why does he care if Jack Silvani is coming in and what money he's bringing in or anything like that? So that's, I don't know. To me, that's a little bit weird. And unless John Ralph has got someone that's a really, really, really good source within Collingwood's 4 walls, or someone in Bo's immediate friends or family or something, I don't know. It just strikes me as really, really weird. With all of this, though, you do have to read between the lines or read between the lies or read between the pies, because there's going to be truths here and there. Because, where there's smoke, there's fire. He wouldn't be writing this stuff if there wasn't an inch or an ounce or a millimeter of some sort of truth. Maybe Bo is getting his head turned. But remember, contracted till 2027, Gold Coast will need to make trades for him. They can't, with all the picks that they're sort of needing to go into academies and stuff like that. So that's why it just doesn't sit really well with me. But I guess time will tell. This will be a good timestamp to see in, 2 months' time, maybe, towards the end of September, start of October, if these things eventuate. But if you go on everything that journos are saying, you know, half the Collingwood team are upset, half the Collingwood team are leaving. It's been said that Brody Mychek is upset with his contract, and we just talked about that in a previous video. But now said Sam Edmund on SEN is saying that Brody Mychek's management could come to terms now. They could come to the party and talk terms over a 1-year or a 2-year contract. So that's not looking likely that he's upset. So I will be reporting. Well, it's not really reporting. Well, I guess it is. I will be reporting on these things as they come about. But it's just interesting to see, and it's also a warning to sort of keep you on your toes, in the sense that where there's smoke, there's fire. We know that, but to read between the lines a little bit, and this might not eventuate. And then in 2 months' time, John Ralph saying, yeah, but at the time, that's what it was. And this might eventuate. And then John Ralph looks like incredible, or Sam Edmund looks incredible, or Tom Morris, or Mitch Cleary, or whoever's going to be talking about this stuff. I just know that there is going to be a lot of players that start to come under consideration. Tom Mitchell, Mason Cox. Um, you know, there's a couple of rookies that don't have contracts as well. Will Huskinellia, what's going on with Will. So there are a few players out of contract, but it seems like contracts don't really matter if Gold Coast are going after Bo McCreary, and we saw that with Dan Houston, where contracts don't really matter either. So it's a weird time to be a player in the AFL, because you can sign a 7-year contract deal and then just leave the next year and pay out your contract. And I'm not saying that Collingwood don't do this. We've done this before, and we'll look at contracted players to trade for. Like, I would love to get Petrarca, for example, and bring Petrarca in if he wants to leave Melbourne, even though he's contracted. Clubs do this all the time. So I know it's not just us. I just know that we generate a lot of bloody clicks. So I absolutely understand that. But out of all the players that we've just talked about, so Jamie Elliott, Bobby Hill, Brody Mychek, Bo McCreary, I do think the only one that could potentially see leaving is Jamie Elliott, because there were talks about Brisbane earlier on in the season, because he has already toured Brisbane's facilities, because he has already had a chat with Chris Fagan and stuff like that. So that one is my wait and see. I don't think any of the others leave, especially Bobby Hill leaving to the Gold Coast or Carlton doesn't make sense. If anything, he goes back to West Coast. Darcy Cameron, we don't really have to talk about him at the moment, because we know that that's been well reported that he's sort of up in arms about his contract payment, and he's looking for an extension on bigger pay. So that is another wait and see. Again, I feel like West Coast are going to be offering him at least $1 million to come over to the West. They'll need to give up big picks for that, definitely. So that's going to be another wait and see. But who do you think is staying? Who do you think is leaving? How do you want me to report on these rumors and stuff going forward? Let me know your thoughts down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.